Let's record. You're being
Okay.
recorded now, sir.
Okay.
Good morning. And what do I owe the pleasure of you singing to
Happy
me?
New Year.
Oh, you're going on holiday
Um,
soon.
yeah, maybe that's the reason. No, sometimes I have. I don't know if you have that as well. Sometimes you hear a combination of words, and then it triggers a song or something.
Yeah.
And you said, what did you say? You said just a combination of word, and it's the same text as "Joyride" from Roxette, song of the 80s that you might know, and that's why I sang along with the Joyride song.
The Joyride song.
Joyride, Roxette, you know?
I know Roxette. I probably have heard the song, but I
Yeah.
don't know the title of the song. So interesting. Oh, okay, so whatever I
Just
say,
another weird habit of me.
of mine.
Of mine, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's your habit, not anybody else's.
Yeah.
So how are you,
Of
sir?
me.
Did you see? Did you pick up the notes? Did you see your notes in the Slack?
Yes, of course. I've studied them very well and in depth the whole week, actually.
Yeah.
And just finished 5 minutes ago or something. Just no, I didn't. I have 2 kids. I'm glad that I'm here, actually. Glad that I found the office. No, sorry.
No, you didn't.
No.
You didn't watch the that TED talk that I added.
Oh no, I missed that one. You recommended a TED talk to me?
Yep.
Oh, which one?
It's in the notes.
Okay, you forgot as well. Now I'm.
It's in the notes.
That's a relief.
It's in the notes.
It's in the notes. It's always in the notes.
Yeah, let me share my screen with you so you can see.
Okay.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
First, I want you to watch this TED talk.
Oh.
Did you see these notes I sent you, right?
No. I just thought it was the recording, and I didn't have listened to opportunity in tech. Professional English as a presentation.
So you just right, okay. So I left you a whole bunch of notes.
Whoa, I'm so sorry. No.
Oh,
Did
okay.
you see the latest feedback from experts suggesting that? Oh.
So I was recapping our meeting last week, and then sort of I covered all this stuff. God, all that.
Is a TED talk between? Yeah. Here's the thing.
Oh yes. So here's the thing.
Speaking grammar perfect English with an extensive vocabulary does not automatically make you an effective business communicator in English. That's right. Talk is cheap.
So I was attaching an article I about the difference between speaking and communicating.
Yeah. Okay.
And so then I was just sharing with you this because what it was from our conversation. So I recapped what what your experience was with the workshop and the meetings, and then I was just giving you this whole thing between the tension between speaking and communicating in English. And then what I wanted you to do was to watch this TED talk. And secondly, I wanted you to complete the sentence. And to complete. So see you next time.
That worked well.
So because of course, fair enough. Because in the past I've only just sent you the recording, whereas this time
I just saw your message, and then I said, okay, the recording, and then I just switched to another thing. And then did you write in the text of the message that I have a homework? That I have to do homework?
I'll have to check my Slack. What did
I
I say?
don't know.
Slack.
I just missed it. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fine. But this is yeah, so I sort of recapped your notes. I was thinking about
Yeah.
it because it's very interesting. You know, your experience is very much what a lot of people have, and that tension between, oh, if I speak like this will be so much better, but point is, yeah, but are you communicating? So it's what I've been. It's now my core message because I've been working with a coach to really fine tune my core message to clients that, you know, you don't have to have that perfect grammar. It's not essential because there are a lot of native speakers who make a right mess of it. And the trouble is that can hold you back. That's the problem. Whereas you need to be concentrating on how to communicate, and communication has different, you know, ways. And so this is there is so I was sharing with you, and then I wanted you to look at this particular TED talk by Heather Hansen, who's my fellow trainer, and she's a communication specialist, and she's looked at how to speak bad English perfectly, which is talking about how non-native speakers share, you know, they kind of, it's global English, it's globish, as it were. You know, not this idea that we all have to speak this British English or this American English or whatever English you aspire to, because on the international stage, people muck together and find a way. And there are 2 billion people in the world who speak English as a second language, as opposed to 400 million who speak English as a first language. So why is the majority trying to sound like the minority when it should be the other way around, that we're in? And the reason I brought this up was, of course, what you told me last week was that, you know, this person from the Netherlands, and as it sort of brought up, I'm thinking these are the real issues that everyone has, that, you know, and then Egbert then coming going, yeah, you know, we must all aspire to, and you think, to what purpose? You know, it's not going to make you work better. It's not going to make you get more deals just because you come up with that perfect sentence. You know, it's yeah, really. And so that's what that triggered these notes. And I thought I want you to, you know, that this is not just me saying, there's a lot of people who are saying that there is an international English. And it comes from her, say, a lot of her clients who were saying, you know, between us, you know, you remove the native speaker, and between us, we all feel comfortable. But it's the moment that native speaker comes in, but you think, well, yeah, but there are a lot of native speakers who can't speak, who can't communicate. And when I say speak, you know, so it's been, I've been looking at a lot of research looking at, yeah, speaking. That's why there's this talk is cheap. It's, you know, blah, 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 and you're not saying anything, right? And because you were saying to me, you know, I need to extend my vocabulary, and, you know, and that's an issue that I feel that when you were telling me that there is that tension that maybe that, well, it's always been there with you, that underlying pressure coming from Egbert a bit, you know, that there's this sort of, and I don't know whether there's also a German thing where the Germans aspire to.
And actually, the tension or the pressure comes mainly from myself. Egbert is just yeah. It's hard to explain even in German. It's Egbert. Egbert isn't pressuring me, because Egbert's English has quite a cool way to deal with the English problem, because he invested a lot of hours in learning to speak English, because he never went to an English-speaking country for a longer period of time. But he realized, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago, that it's really important to learn English, because the projects are getting more international, and because of the AMO network and the opportunities, and that's why he took a lot of English lessons. But still, he has a heavy German accent. His grammar is kind of creative, let's put it this way. It's and he just, but he's like, of course, it's his personality, but he's overconfident in everything he does. So he just speaks, and he just and when he did, like in this workshop, he just speaks the whole time. Sometimes there are German words in his speaking, and he's just free of fear. Can you say that? Fearless.
Yeah.
And which is quite cool. But it's not nearly native. It's not nearly professional. Of course, the vocabulary is quite good because he had a lot of opportunities to speak English, a lot of trainings, a lot of negotiations with the AMO colleagues, a lot of business talk. So it's his vocabulary when it comes down to change in business things, and he's quite good now. But in the end, it's a very German way to speak English. So the pressure doesn't.
You mentioned a very German way to speak English.
No, it's just let's say it's not a. It's good, but it's far away from native, and not a German way. You hear, of course, you hear in every word that he's German because of his heavy accent. But a colleague of mine brought up an interesting aspect for this discussion, because she mentioned when she's the colleague I told you, the younger colleague of mine that facilitated the workshop and is really good in speaking English very fluently, blah blah blah. And she said, always never mind your English, and don't be too frustrated about your English speaking abilities, because sometimes it's good, especially for the native people, that they realize that somebody is trying to speak their language to communicate. And because when you hear Saskia speak, you just think, okay, she's perfect in English, so she just speaks in English. That's it. When you hear Egbert talking, then you realize the whole time he is trying to speak in a language that is not his mother tongue, to make other people from another country understand what he's trying to say and to communicate. And sometimes it's good to make sometimes the benefit of not speaking perfect English is that you make other people realize that you are the one who's moving in their direction, who's
making the effort.
Making the effort to find a common ground for discussion by speaking their language. And this was an interesting point. I never looked at this that way.
And she's why does she say that it's good to make them realize that you're making the effort? I mean, I'm thinking about it from the point of view as business people in the dynamics between, your business dynamics. Well, why is that good?
No, and not for the business dynamic, it's not good. But she just tried to express, when you think about, sometimes it's a benefit of a non-perfect English. The benefit of non-perfect English is that they realize that you tried to make the effort. You know what I mean?
So it is
for the business dynamic. It's no benefit, but in the end, sometimes they have to realize that you are making the effort, and that it's not that they shouldn't take it for granted that everybody speaks English on a native level. You know what I mean?
Oh, perfectly. But I'm thinking about it from a business communication dynamic. No, I think, well, what is that psychological point there, that you are making them realize that, hey, we're making an effort here. This is not our, we could easily insist that you speak German, right? because, okay, English just happens to be the lingua franca of business, so we're going to use that. But please appreciate the fact that we are making that effort. Plus, it's not just the making the effort, that we have that extra talent that they don't have. So it's underlying, I think. You know, yes, you're making the effort, but plus you have the skill that is lacking in them. Because I don't know how many British people, well, a lot of British people can speak maybe German, but they can't speak French or they can't speak Spanish. Very few compared to.
And what she was trying.
It empowers.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
No, tell me. What was she saying?
No, I just jumped in because that's the point. She's when the native speaker realize, because of your non-perfect English, that you are speaking you are trying to speak his language, then he realizes that you are making the effort, that you have established an additional skill, and maybe there's a chance that they don't take it for granted and behave accordingly to that. You know what I mean?
So they adapt their language to you.
Maybe, or just appreciating it. Just it's not. I don't want. I'm not speaking of that. They should after each sentence they have to go. Oh, thank you that you taught me this one in English. Not just the feeling of just the way they enter the discussion and the way they just they look at the situation.
Absolutely. And this is exactly what Heather Hansen says, is that, and what a lot of us, we've been talking a lot more about international English, and how native speakers need to appreciate this, that and to adapt their language and to appreciate that everyone else is making that effort, and to adapt their listening skills and their speaking skills to other people. So that you don't have a whole bunch of people going, oh gosh, it's my accent. And you think, well, we all speak with different accents, but what we need to do is be adapting our listening skills so that, you know, someone doesn't go, oh gosh, I can't understand him because he's got a very heavy German accent and whatever. Well, hello, it's not his problem. It's you adapting your listening skills, because you're the tiny cog. You want to deal with Germany, you're going to have to adapt to understanding the German accent when they're speaking English. Because, you know, hey, this is, you want to do business, you can't sit there and, you know, and native speakers are very quick at, you know, and I'm not just saying about English, I think we all are, right? I mean, we're quite dismissive. It's like if you have immigrants coming to our country and then they start speaking our language and they speak with an accent or not, we're very impatient. You know, we're like immediately going, for God's sake, I can't understand that waiter or whatever. And you're thinking, they're making the effort. So, you know what? You adapt your listening skills. You give them some time. So she's perfectly right, and it's interesting. So the question I asked here in these notes was, finally, is the above statement, because I asked you to complete one, was internally or externally motivated, and you've answered it earlier, saying it's you that has that longing to have that perfect language. Because often you've told me, oh, my tenses, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, Stefan, if you could spend years mastering your tenses, it would be wonderful, but is it necessary? And so I was curious when, last week when you talked about it, and then Egbert sort of mentioned that, but now that you've sort of revealed a little more of a picture of Egbert, and I think he's the kind of guy that you think, yeah, we need more of, where you're fearless. You're thinking, I'm going to communicate, guys. Yes, it's a lingua franca. I've got to learn. I've just got to adapt. And it's almost forcing that 400 million minority to adapt to the international stage. And that, hey, yeah, I'm making that effort. I've had to learn your language when you could also make an effort, but nobody does. So you make the effort to pay attention, to adapt your language, so you're reducing the number of idioms or colloquialisms that you think that everyone's going to understand, particularly the ones that are very relevant to the culture. And if someone is not familiar, and don't really have to be familiar because they're dealing with you maybe on a conference call, so hey, just reduce those and just be much more aware that you are talking to people whose language is not English. So I think she's very right. So when she says this, do you obviously agree from what you were telling me? But how does that make you feel? Does it make you think, oh yeah, I should just give myself a break?
No. No, it's I'm in between. Sometimes I think she's totally right, but in the end, I still have the not the need. It's just like it's the same perfectionism that I have in other areas. I have that in English as well, and I'm always struggle. I have to speak a better English and blah blah blah. But it's when I compare myself, I'm just totally fine with this issue, because when I compare myself, let's say 4 years ago, when I came to your house and started the full immersion course, and when I compare my ability and my ability to speak English and my and the fears and worries I had at this time, when I compare it to 2018, then I'm totally fine with this development, yeah, that's okay. But I'm still sometimes I still struggle, and I still feel not confident enough. But it's on a level that I can cope with.
Fantastic. So it's all of us, right? It's overcoming our fear, and then just thinking, okay, this is good enough for the moment. Yeah, we can all become perfect, but that requires a ton of work, and you said to me, right? You have your career, you've got your children, you've got your you just don't, you don't have. But it's also those coping strategies you've developed, where you've worked also thinking about how do I communicate? Am I getting the job done? At the end of the day, it's and if you're satisfied with the work you're doing, you're thinking, yeah, I give a presentation. You've adapted to when I remember when you used a lot of jargon, and okay, within your own sphere, that's fine, but you've adapted and you're finding ways to adapt. Then that's great. So there's that. I would love, but this is what I'll settle with.
Yeah.
And it's important to, and then like all of us, it's overcoming that fear, and they're just going, I'll just put it out there, and hey, that's just how it is. It's otherwise we spend our years trying to achieve perfection, and it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen, because we're never going to. It's just me trying to write. If I constantly thought, okay, I'm going to have this perfect thing, or I'll until I have this perfect blog post or this perfect book, it won't go out. Well, then nobody gets anything out, because always at your presentations, and I remember when I was in finance, when my boss would say, well, I want you to put together this proposal or this piece of marketing, and I would be dying, because I just thought, where do I start? How do I do it? I don't know how to do it. And because my fear was, I've always wanted it to be perfect, and that stops you immediately, because you just don't know where to go. So whereas you just dump that, just go with it, try it, do it, play with it, and then. So he always said to me, because every time I have this blank sheet of paper, and I'd be panicking, And it was funny because he said, I just want you to put some stuff down, then I will look at it and then I will work with you on how. But it was my fear was always starting because I thought, oh, it's got to be perfect because what if? But then I would you just procrastinate because you think, oh, where do I start? I mean, is that something that you have fought with or?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's like, it's not like it's not just in English, it'll be in German, right? I mean, it's like, I don't know. I mean, this one for me was in English, so it was not even, me writing in Italian. In Italian, my Italian is nowhere near as good as your English is. So certainly not for writing. And I mean, do you find? I mean, I find that it's that fear because we see everybody else, and then there's that thing of, oh, it's going to be perfect. So I've got to make sure that this thing is already good, the first draft, and then. But you give yourself so much anguish in the meantime because I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm rubbish, and actually, if you could just do it, and then someone else then says, "Oh, this was good, maybe you could do." It's not as scary. I don't know. Does that make sense?
If you just try not to think about it being too perfect, just try and.
Yeah, and it's liberating actually sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been, as I said, mentioned to you a couple of because I've stopped writing on my blog. I've taken a break because I decided to get some coaching because I've come to sort of an impasse with the business in terms of where I want to go. So I've been getting some coaching and looking at my core message and stuff. And now the way I have to write my blog post is very different. I have to create this tension. And so she was like, oh, you've got to create. And I'm like, oh my God, what was that all about? And it was interesting because, I spent 5 years writing blog posts. Suddenly I'm scared stiff about writing. I was like, oh. So she gave me this title. I said, I'd like you to, and I was, where do I start? What do I do? And I've gone through fears, just like fear of putting my thoughts down. I'm thinking, what doesn't make sense. And I was thinking, but who's that going to harm? Nobody's seeing it. It's only you. But even so, it was just this sort of, but Kashanti, come on. And I think it's the same when we want to communicate, right? We just like, but what if it's not perfect? Yeah, but actually it's us that's giving ourselves, because when I write it, so I thought, oh, okay, I'll go. And then my first attempt, she goes, well, not quite, Shanti. It's not what, and I was, oh my God, you see, this was it. I knew it was like rubbish. But then she started giving me, so then I went back, but even then it took me 2 days. I wouldn't go near the thing and I was staring at it and I was like, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. 3 goes and then the third draft, she said, excellent. Can you see the difference? And, but even now, even though I thought, oh, wow, that's so good. Oh, I managed. I'm still scared because I'm thinking, now what am I going to be writing to my readers? I mean, I have to create this, so suddenly it's different. Suddenly it's, and you're thinking, and the fear, and I'm back to my fear and how do I do it? But the fear is the only person who's holding me back is me. Is me, doing that. So it's interesting. So I thought I'd share that with you because I kind of think that's, I wonder whether that's the same thing you go through when you're communicating, you're about to give a presentation, make it,
Yeah, I think it's part of your personality that you have in every field. It's not like it's not only the English, the issue of speaking English. It's part of your thinking and mindset that you have every task you try to accomplish. But at the same time, after having struggled with this issue for years, sometimes you have to look at it as, of course, part of yourself, and it's even it's a strength and a weakness, like everything, because it makes you strive for better. It makes you always question issue of always questioning yourself is a strength and a weakness at the same time. Because sometimes when I see people, for example, an employee of mine, she's part of the lovely Gen Y generation, and she's totally not able to question herself, and she has quite an interesting filter in her head that just only sees the good things of what she does, and I'm totally not surprised, not the right word, but kind of surprised how people are able to think this way. She's just focused on what's perfect, what she has already accomplished, what her perfect background and perfect CV is, what she's already achieved in her traineeship, and he just doesn't see the
discards.
Discards. Okay, the negative feedback or negative things.
She ignores it then.
Yeah, ignore. Sorry. Yeah.
No.
And that's interesting. That's really interesting. It's hard for me to understand this kind of mindset because it's totally not mine. But sometimes it's interesting to have an employee sitting on the other side of the desk that you have to coach, and they just look at the world in a totally different way. But that's interesting. And I always look at the bad things and the problems and the fields for improvement and whatever. So that was quite an interesting experience. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So she's totally oblivious to it all, and she's very happy with what she achieves, and she doesn't want to do more.
Yeah, but or she wants to do more, but always from her starting point is she's underestimated. She wants to shorten her traineeship because she feels that she's already a junior consultant, and blah blah blah. So that's quite interesting discussions I have there.
She's very confident of her abilities. Yeah, right. Okay. So it is. So you're saying, so the millennial, is she a millennial?
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. So
do you say millennial or Gen Y? No, Gen Y as well.
Yeah, either.
Yeah.
But I get confused which one is a Gen Y, Gen X.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're Gen X.
We're Gen X, and she's Gen Y, and I think there is already the next generation, Gen Z, yeah, Z. Whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so we sort of focus more. I think we also focus more on our it's almost discarding, ignoring what we're good at, but then focusing on what we're not good at, or what we should improve, and let's work on that. And they have the other way of, hey, I'm cool. I'm already great. And I don't need to learn anything more because I've got everything I need. And it's kind of like if you could have a happy medium, happy balance here of, we don't want the negativity all the time of, putting ourselves down and thinking, I'm not good enough, which, that holds you back. But at the same time, this one who's thinking, I've got all the necessary skills and tools. What do you?
Yeah, I tried to tell her that the one of the necessary skills to be a good consultant is, and I don't know if that's the right word in English. It's just a translation. If you have the necessary humility.
Humility, yes.
When it comes to the complexity of the job that we are doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to have humility towards Egbert or me or Suzanne or whatever, but to the job, you know what I mean?
Yes.
To the profession.
Yes. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah. Just realizing that you don't know everything, right? There's
No.
so much more to learn, and
Yeah,
just be humble in front of this job, this career, and the knowledge. Yeah, not just saying, well, I know it all now.
Yeah, and in the end, I don't, of course, I don't tell me that every day, but not to get too frustrated. But in the end, we are trying to accomplish, for example, when we try to change the culture of a company, that's just so a big task when you're honest to yourself and honest to the client. Then you just when we would look each other in the eye, can you say that? No.
Yeah, if you looked at each other in the eye, yes.
Yeah, we of course we should just say we could try, of course, but we could give some impulses or some we're trying to shift a little the mindset or whatever. But in the end, we won't. The variables, right? The variables to change a culture are overwhelming. Are so many. They're so different. If there are so much circumstances, so many players, and the communication department is a tiny little bit of this overall complex organizational situation. And so in the end, you have to what is the adjective of humility? You have to be,
humble.
Humble enough to realize that you could only try.
Yeah. I mean, the task is so enormous.
Yeah. But of course, you have always you have always to say yourself and the client that you do more than trying.
Of course. I mean, we've got to try. Yeah, you've got to tell yourself that I'm going to do more than that. But realize that hey, the task ahead. It's so huge that we have to. We'll try and do. We've got less than a minute before this thing is going to stop.
Okay.
So I'm sorry because it just thought that I had 3 participants rather than 2.
No problem. But this is our last session, isn't it?
It is our last session.
It is.
Oh,
Tears. We will cry now for a minute. No, yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so I'd love you to complete that sentence. If I spoke English almost like a native speaker, I'd achieve what in my professional life? And that would make me feel what? Sometime, whenever you want to ever wonder.
Okay, I will.
No, yeah, so this is our last.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful holiday.
I will. I think I will, because you asked me about how we continue. I think I would. I think we should, or I should have a break this autumn, because there will come 2 new projects coming in September and October, and I don't want to postpone lesson after lesson after lesson. That's why I think I have to just take a break concerning the Skype lessons, and just come back in winter or something, or late autumn, and see if there's a time, because it was kind of a frustrating situation to just postpone and don't find